Hello everyone, today we're going to have a brief introduction of adverbs. So what is an adverb and what does it do? Let's find out. Adverbs are used to modify verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. Example: adverbs modifying verbs. Peter sings loudly in the classroom. So loudly is the adverb here. It is modifying the verb sing. Okay? So we are describing the action. We are giving quality. We are modifying the action sing. How loud or how quiet does Peter sing? He sings loudly. Okay? So the loudly is the quality that sing has. Adverb modifying adjectives. Not only can we use adverb to modify verbs, but we can also use adverb to modify adjectives. For example, Sadie is incredibly happy about her job. So the extent of happiness, of Sadie's happiness, is incredible. So we are using incredibly to ascribe quality, to ascribe a degree of extent to the adjective happy. We can also use adverb to modify other adverbs. Example, the CEO is almost always busy at work. So without the almost, we can say the CEO is always busy at work. Let's have a look at more examples about using adverbs to modify verbs. Take a look at Timothy. Okay, Timothy is waiting impatiently for the bus to arrive. So we are using the adverb impatiently to modify the verb waiting. We are not talking about how impatient Timothy is, but we are describing how the verb is performed. Maybe the word impatiently suggests that Timothy is impatient, but in adverb we are using it to modify verbs. So in the sentence we are actually describing how is the action of waiting being performed. It is being performed impatiently. Second, the manager will seriously consider your application. So how serious or how lightly or how will the manager consider your application? He or she will consider seriously. Okay? Mrs. Wong, our class teacher, always arrives punctually. So there are two adverbs in one sentence. The first one is always, the second one is punctually. They are both describing, they're both modifying, and they're both ascribing qualities to the verb arrives. Now let's take a look at adverbs modifying adjectives. Michelle is stunningly beautiful. So stunningly is to describe the extent of how beautiful Michelle is. She is stunningly beautiful. Alright? Or you can say she is mildly beautiful. Or you can say she is astonishingly beautiful. Okay, you can use different adverb to also modify adjectives. Let's take a look at the second example. Ryan was very sad about his failed exam. So we can say very is used to describe the adjective sad. How sad? He was very, very sad. Or you can say he was extremely sad. So we can also use adverb to modify adjectives. Lastly, take a look at how adverb is used to modify another adverb. Henry sings rather well. So the original sentence should be Henry sings well. How well? He sings rather well. So rather is describing another adverb, well. Okay? If you eat an ice cream too quickly, you will get a headache. How quickly? Too quickly. Okay? Let's take a look at the last example. Alex's hair is quite terribly styled today. There are actually three adverbs in one sentence. The first one is quite. The second one is terribly. The third one is today. Let's take a look at the adverb terribly. It is used to modify verb, and the verb here is styled. Okay, we are using the adverb terribly to modify the verb style. So other adverbs, quite. So we are here using adverb to modify another adverb. Okay, so the quite is used to modify terribly, and terribly is used to modify the verb styled. How about today? Today is not modifying styled, terribly, or quite. It is telling when did the whole thing happen. Okay, so it is modifying the whole sentence. Let's take a look at the adverb form. An adverb often ends in ly. So for example, quickly, usually, normally, randomly, mysteriously, and etc. However, many adverbs have no obvious form. For example, hard, fast, today, to, always, about, and outside. So you cannot determine if an adverb is an adverb by its spelling. So you have to think of what does it do in a sentence. Does it modify a verb? Does it modify an adjective? Does it modify another adverb? Or does it modify a noun? So to continue with the previous slide, how do we identify an adverb from an adjective? We look at the word if it is modifying a noun. If not, it is almost certain that the word is an adverb. For example, Timmy threw a red ball to James angrily. Let's give you 10 seconds to find out which word is an adjective and which word is an adverb. Time for the answers. There is actually no adjective in the sentence, but there is an adverb. The adverb would be angrily. Why is the word angrily an adverb instead of an adjective? Because it is used to modify how an action is performed. How Tommy threw the ball. He threw the ball angrily. Okay, we are not talking about a person's feeling, so we are not using an adjective. We are modifying a verb. So when we are modifying a verb, we use an adverb. So how about the comparative form and superlative form of adverb? So most adverbs can be comparative or superlative. For example, the rules are quite similar with adjective. So with one syllable word, with one syllable adverb, we are adding er to the comparative form, and then we are adding the in front of the adverb and est at the end of the adverb in the superlative form. Example would be hard, harder, or the hardest. For two or more syllables adverb, we add more in front of the adverb in the comparative form, and we add the most in front of the adverb in the superlative form. For example, in the adverb seriously, it is more than one syllable. It has two or more syllables. So we are using this rule to add more in front of it in a comparative form, and then the most in front of it in a superlative form. So seriously, more seriously, and the most seriously. So there are of course some irregular forms just like adjectives. So we have well, better, and the best. Far, farther, and the farthest. The usage of comparative and superlative of adverbs are almost identical to adjectives, except for the adverbs do not ascribe quality to nouns, but verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Example: the situation where the manager is talking to Linda and Wendy. The manager said, "This month's best sales is Wendy." And then Linda said, "What is not fair? I work harder than Wendy." And then Wendy said, "No, you're not. I work the hardest in the shop. I worked 25 days last month. You only worked 15. So you can compare the degree of a verb by adding in the comparative and superlative form of adverb. And those forms are harder and the hardest. In fact, there are 3 types of adverbs I want to introduce to you in the upcoming videos. The first one would be adverb of manner, second, adverb of place, and lastly, adverb of time. That's it for the brief introduction to adverbs. Stay tuned and thank you for watching.